It is Sound Off time now. Every day here on Live at 3, we tackle one of the day's big issues with our colleague from News Radio 620 WTMJ, Jeff Wagner.
Talking politics today. The Democrats will face off in the recall primary a week from tomorrow. And the race is on to pick up any last-minute votes and endorsements. So far, Tom Barrett has the support of Representative Peter Barca, while Kathleen Falk has nabbed Voces de la Frontera. That brings us to today's Sound Off question. Will endorsements make a difference in the Democratic primary election?
And of course, the way this is played out, early on, a lot of the big unions, WEAC and AFSCME, came out in a big way endorsing Kathleen Falk, and they also opened their pocketbook, put a bunch of money into the race as well. Estimates are up to $4 million. Tom Barrett has pretty much been the establishment Democratic candidate. In addition to the endorsement of Peter Barca, he has the endorsement of former Congressman Dave Obey. A lot of the mainstream establishment Democrats are behind Barrett. Do people care? Let's start with Chris in South Milwaukee.
I don't think they do, and I think the lack of time that they've had to organize themselves and run on their records, they don't have records to run on because neither of them has done very much. And I think at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to matter is what they've accomplished. And I think the voters are going to realize that Scott Walker's done more in 1 year than either of those two have done in their careers combined.
The only time an endorsement will really help you is if it comes with a checkbook attached to it.
Right.
You know, having, Mr. Obey's endorsement is nice and all, but I mean, is he ponying up $2 million in ads?
But I think when you have a big establishment like a union, you get members to follow that. So yeah, I think it helps in that sense. I mean, obviously not from a money perspective, but from a voting perspective. Well,
I mean, clearly, I mean, from a money perspective as well. I mean, in this case, I mean, AFSCME and the teachers union, I mean, they put their money where their mouths were. They supported Kathleen Falk. She's getting about $4 million. To that extent, I guess it helps. Here's John in West Dallas.
I don't think that endorsements are going to play a big part of this election. Unless you're in a group that has endorsed a certain individual and you feel strong ties with the group, I think the general citizenship will go about their business and vote for whoever they feel will do the best job in the primary.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, that's one of the conventional things. If your union endorses you, are you then going to vote for that candidate in the primary? And of course, there's been mixed results. I mean, Bob Donovan, Milwaukee alderman, I mean, you had unions that came out in favor of a candidate in his primary election. That candidate ran third. Here's Michael in Oshkosh.
I think they do in the environment that there's so many conflicting stories out there on the different candidates. In light of not knowing what to believe and what not to believe, people rely on those that they know about and lean on those endorsements to know which way to vote.
There's the short endorsement game versus the long endorsement game going on here as well. If Kathleen Falk is the one to move on to the general election against the governor, independents may not like all of these union endorsements, thinking she's too connected to them.
Right. Yeah. And so that's the effect as well. Now, there is another thing. Now, on local races, races where people don't necessarily know who the candidate is, maybe in those cases endorsements play out. In my neighborhood, I have a neighbor, and sometimes, I won't say exactly how close the guy lives to me, but I look at the sign what the guy has up, and then I vote the other way. And I know I'm pretty much, pretty well set on that. Here's Sarah in Burlington.
I do think that endorsements make a difference, and the reason is me being a conservative, and I am also a public school teacher. If my union supports someone, I know that I need to vote opposite of what they support.
There has been a civil war.
Kind of like my story as well. It's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out. It just.
Do you call in this one?
No, ask me on Friday.
I need to be closer.
Ask me on Friday. It's I mean, conventional.
There's new polling data out this week. That's all he's waiting on.
No. I just you want to wait. Lots can happen a week. There's a lot of stuff that can happen in politics.
Jeff,
ask me Friday.
We'll ask you Friday. Thanks.
All right, let's head over to